Good afternoon, everybody. I want to title this particular video Relationships and What Pain Has to Offer Our Relationships. Okay, so human beings don't like pain. And no, I don't like pain either, even though I accept it as a very necessary and important tool, and I'm not entirely afraid of it. I certainly don't like it. That being said, I think that humanity's quest to try to make things as pain free as possible can sometimes cheat them out of some of the best things of life. And so, as we as humans go around looking for a spouse or a relationship, usually we look for people with all their ducks in a row and all, people who are as perfect as we possibly can because human beings equate perfection with painlessness. I think the story of Job can blow that out of the air. But ultimately, still, we have the assumption that if only we could reach perfection, we could find a painless existence. So, anyway, I personally believe that, of course, when you are in a relationship with a person who causes you pain, you can absolutely, totally end up with a breakdown of that relationship. There's definitely imperfections too, that, or people who embrace some of those imperfections in a way that's a little bit more dysfunctional than others. But really, that being said, if you really want passionate, deep, intimate relationships, pain is actually one of the more necessary ingredients. And how do I mean by that? Well, if we look at the relationships that Jesus Christ had with his disciples, you know, they followed him for years and he took care of them. He taught them. He gave them so much. But as soon as it was his darkest hour, they weren't there for him. They didn't properly pray for him when he was going through the darkest night of his soul in the Garden of Gethsemane. And they weren't really there at the cross either when he was dying and in his most excruciating pain. So we see a real breakdown in regards to the relationship between Jesus and his disciples when he was on the cross. But when Jesus came back, he didn't come with a big old giant stick. He navigated their betrayal in the very best way possible, which was through love and through forgiveness. So instead of just, oh, you screwed up and you made a mistake and you did this and you did that, Jesus just loved them and he gave them a second chance and he just believed the best out of them. And I actually really truly believe that it was this particular failure on their part and how Jesus navigated their failure that really won the devotion and the love that propelled all the disciples and eventually led even to their extreme martyrdom. It wasn't because they were perfect, it was because they were imperfect. But Jesus loved them and chose them anyway, and he was loyal all the way to the end in spite of that. And I really believe that when we are with people who sincerely try the best, they try hard to do what's right, but they fail, they make a mistake, they screw up. When you can love them and when you can embrace them and forgive them and, really truly reinstate them, that is when that relationship is passionate, it is stable, it is a rock, it won't break. Because, when a person sees you, when they know you, when they know the good, they know the bad, and they can love your good in spite of your bad, that is when incredible passion is released and created. And that only happens in the face of failure. It only happens when somebody really drops the ball, but the other person in the relationship can somehow navigate it. It's real power. I mean, to me, I think that people underestimate the incredible power that is really involved in being able to navigate pain and being able to overcome it. Because, it's It's a little bit like a tornado comes and you just sort of surf on the tornado and victory, you know. So this is a really great challenge, and this is really fun. So here's the problem when we're talking about celebrity, or we're talking about somebody who has an incredible, an extreme power imbalance in a relationship. Whether you are talking about um, the male gender, if the male gender is given the sort of free for all of being the person who sort of corrects and condemns, and he has this sort of almost godlike position, and his family has kind of a slave like position, he doesn't need to accept any kind of sacrifice on his part. He doesn't need to sacrifice loving or forgiving her. He doesn't need to accept her gaining weight. He doesn't have to accept going through periods of time without physical intimacy. If he doesn't have to tolerate any of her crap, basically, he's never going to have this really deeply intimate relationship with another person. If women refuse to accept any kind of crap or refuse to forgive anything, they are losing that opportunity to really have the ultimate prize, which is that extreme love and devotion that you can win when you truly forgive. Uh, when you are really dealing with celebrity, there's lots and lots and lots of people that wonder, well, what the heck is wrong with celebrities? They're famous, they're adored, they have lots of money, they get to travel, they get to do everything that ordinary people wish that they could do and can feel so jealous of. But the problem with celebrity, in my personal opinion, and the reason why it can even feel so empty for so many celebrities, is because anything that can really negatively affect your relationships will always affect your overall mental health and your well being. So, for example, if somebody were to offer me a tremendous wealth and celebrity tomorrow or opportunity tomorrow, I would have to really take a look at my life and say, do I have relationships that could sustain a lifestyle like that? Do I have relationships that are so important to me, that are more important than anything else in the world? First, if I had those types of relationships in my life, then I would be fine with being blessed with wealth and fame and so on and so forth. But if I look around in my life and I'm already suffering in my relationships, and I don't have people that I feel like I can trust, and I don't have that sort of depth of intimacy with people, I really, really, truly, I wouldn't want those kinds of blessings. I think having some kind of security in your life is quite good, and having stability in your life is quite good. But I don't think that wealth or fame would really do that for you. And I think that it would almost curse you to a kind of misery, because if you get the wealth before you get the relationships, then your relationships are always going to be tainted with that. And I think that celebrity causes the problem where they don't have to suffer any kind of pain in their relationships, and they have to, in order to have a really, really soul connection with another person. You have to really know their darkness, and you have to accept the darkness as well as with the light, and to be exclusive and to say that even though you have these issues, I'm still exclusively interested in you, and we're going to get through this together. But if you don't have that kind of maturity, then you'll never be able to sustain any kind of real wealth or power, because it'll destroy you, and you won't ever be happy, because happiness is always found in your relationships. So I really, really think that everybody who kind of makes it to the top says, hey, the top isn't where it's at. I got this money, I got this fame, I got this situation that I've always wanted, and it really didn't make me as happy as I thought it would. And I think that when people really, truly, Solomon, in so many ways, he was right. A sense of satisfaction and a job well done is a wonderful thing. But I think Solomon might have also really missed where true pleasure and happiness is found, which is in relationships. And the only depth of pleasure that you could ever really experience in a relationship is if that relationship causes you pain and you know how to navigate it well and the other person knows how to navigate it well. So pain is a tool, and it's a very, very important one. And if you see it in the light that it is, it loses its power over you, because people are constantly living their life in avoidance of pain. And because of that, they follow the rules when they probably never needed to follow the rules. They, maybe allowed circumstances and situations to control them when they never needed to. Or maybe they missed out on their dreams or their dream relationship, because, they were afraid of pain, of punishment. So, but hopefully people will become fearless and will really be able to say, hey, I hurt that person, but maybe I could fight through that and grab a hold of that person anyway and accept that, yeah, I'm dark. I have darkness in me. Everybody does. But I have good. And that good is going to hopefully be worth somebody forgiving me and accepting me for. But also, too, when they look around and they say, hey, I know that person means a lot to me, and they have caused so much pain to me. But I can see the pain for what it is, which is just the sort of welding force that could actually increase this relationship and make it even better. And yeah, so I guess that's what this video is really about. And I can say for sure that the people who are the most inclined to ride on the wind that blows, they're fearless, and they have kind of a mastership of life that I think so many people really lack. And I think it makes life really, really exciting.